Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the Christmas Chronicles, a 2018 holiday adventure comedy that might look like a simple Christmas movie at first glance, but slowly reveals itself as something far more emotional and meaningful. This film blends classic Christmas nostalgia with a modern sense of loss, belief, and family connection. When I first watched it, I expected a light, fun holiday ride, and while it absolutely delivers on that, it also surprised me with how deeply it explores grief and healing through the lens of Christmas magic. Kurt Russell's portrayal of Santa Claus immediately sets this movie apart, giving us a version of Santa that feels bold, witty, slightly rebellious, and refreshingly human, while still holding on to that timeless magical charm. The story begins in December, in the quiet town of Lowell, Massachusetts, where Christmas decorations are up, lights glow softly in windows, and the season feels alive everywhere, except inside the Pierce household. The Pierce family is struggling. Claire Pierce is a hard-working widow, trying her best to hold her family together after the death of her husband, Doug, a firefighter who lost his life in a tragic fire. Claire works long hours at a hospital, carrying the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, while also trying to be emotionally present for her two children. Despite the festive season, the home feels heavy with grief, a reminder that Christmas is not always joyful for everyone. Their teenage son, Teddy, has lost almost all belief in Christmas. Once a happy, enthusiastic kid, he now carries anger, confusion, and emotional distance. The loss of his father has left a deep mark on him, and instead of expressing his pain, he's become rebellious and withdrawn. Christmas, which once brought him comfort, now feels empty and pointless. On the other hand, his younger sister Kate still holds on to the magic of the season with full belief. She loves Christmas traditions, watches old family videos, and truly believes Santa Claus is real. For Kate, Santa represents hope, warmth, and the idea that good things can still happen, even after loss. On Christmas Eve, Claire receives an urgent call from the hospital and has to leave for work, trusting Teddy to look after Kate for the night. She reminds them both to behave, knowing Teddy has already been pushing limits lately. Once Claire leaves, the house grows quiet. Teddy and Kate sit together in the living room, flipping through old Christmas home videos filmed when their father was still alive. The footage shows happier times, family laughter, decorations, and Doug behind the camera, capturing moments that now feel painfully distant. Watching these videos brings mixed emotions: sadness, nostalgia, and for Kate, renewed excitement about Christmas. While replaying one of the videos, Kate suddenly notices something strange. In one frame, she sees a hand briefly appear from inside the fireplace. Her heart races as she replays the clip again and again, becoming convinced that it's Santa Claus. Teddy laughs it off at first, assuming it's just a trick of the light or imagination. But Kate is persistent. She truly believes she has discovered proof. Eventually, Teddy agrees to help her confirm it, but only after Kate promises to delete a video she secretly recorded earlier that day, showing Teddy stealing her car. With that deal in place, the siblings form a plan. They set up a simple trap in the living room, a tripwire near the fireplace, and a hidden camera, hoping to catch Santa on video if he appears. The house is quiet, glowing softly with Christmas lights, and the warmth of the fireplace fills the room. As the night grows deeper, both kids fall asleep on the couch, waiting for something magical to happen. Hours later, Kate wakes up suddenly. She hears movement and sees someone climbing out of the fireplace. Her eyes widen as she realizes it's Santa Claus, real, physical, and standing right there in front of her. Kate quickly wakes Teddy, and the two silently watch Santa finish his work inside their home. Santa heads outside toward his sleigh, where reindeer wait patiently. Driven by curiosity and excitement, Kate and Teddy sneak after him and climb onto the sleigh, desperate to see if this moment is truly real. As Santa takes off into the sky, Kate can't contain her excitement and speaks. The sound startles Santa, causing him to lose control. The sleigh begins shaking violently as the reindeer panic. The magical tow line connecting the sleigh to the reindeer snaps under pressure, triggering a chaotic teleportation that sends the sleigh crashing into Chicago, Illinois. The crash leaves Santa stunned and frustrated, while Kate and Teddy realize the seriousness of what they've caused. Santa quickly explains that his sleigh, bag of presents, and reindeer are essential for delivering gifts and maintaining Christmas spirit across the world. Without them, Christmas itself is at risk. As time ticks closer to sunrise, Santa grows increasingly worried. Kate and Teddy feel overwhelmed with guilt, knowing their curiosity may have ruined Christmas for millions of people. Determined to fix their mistake, the children offered to help Santa recover his lost equipment and save Christmas. Santa is reluctant at first, clearly annoyed and stressed, but he realizes he has no choice. With Christmas hanging in the balance, an unlikely team is formed, a cool, unconventional Santa Claus, and two children driven by guilt, belief, and hope. This marks the true beginning of the adventure, as the story shifts from a quiet family drama into a fast-paced Christmas rescue mission, filled with danger, magic, and emotional growth. Chicago's streets become the backdrop for their journey, where every setback threatens Christmas itself. But beyond the chase and chaos, the story quietly continues to explore something deeper, the way belief, family, and forgiveness can heal even the deepest emotional wounds. For Teddy, this adventure becomes more than just helping Santa. It's a chance to reconnect with the joy he lost. For Kate, it's proof that belief still matters. And for Santa, it's a reminder of why Christmas spirit exists in the first place. The night truly begins to shift once Kate and Teddy are no longer just curious kids watching Christmas videos, but active participants pulled into something far bigger than they ever imagined. After the sleigh crash leaves, Santa stranded in the middle of Chicago, the story takes on a restless, almost frantic energy. Time suddenly becomes the enemy. Christmas Eve is slipping away minute by minute, and without Santa's reindeer, his magical hat, and the sack of presents, the balance that keeps Christmas alive starts to weaken. Santa, despite his confident attitude and rough humor, clearly feels the pressure. This is no fairy tale stroll through snowy rooftops. This is a race against a clock that refuses to slow down. Kate, who has spent the entire evening believing with her whole heart, sees this as her chance to finally prove that faith matters. Teddy, on the other hand, is still carrying his own emotional weight. He acts confident and sarcastic, but beneath that surface is a boy struggling with grief, guilt, and responsibility he never asked for. Being stuck with Santa in a broken situation forces both siblings to confront sides of themselves they usually keep hidden. Teddy steps into a leadership role almost instinctively, while Kate clings to hope with a stubborn determination that keeps the group moving forward even when everything seems to go wrong. Their first attempts to get help feel almost comedic, yet there's a subtle sadness underneath. Santa tries to blend into the modern world, walking into a bar full of adults who see him as nothing more than a strange man in a red coat. The magic that once made people stop and stare no longer works the way it used to. This moment quietly reflects a larger theme of the film. Belief in Santa, and belief in kindness, has faded in a world that has grown cynical and distracted. The laughter in the bar, the disbelief in people's eyes, and Santa's irritation all show how far the spirit of Christmas has drifted from everyday life. The car chase that follows injects adrenaline into the story, but it also highlights how unprepared Santa is without his magic working properly. Teddy takes control behind the wheel, handling the chaos with surprising skill, while Kate holds onto Santa's sack, clinging to the idea that everything can still be fixed. Police sirens, traffic lights, and narrow streets turn into obstacles that test their teamwork. When Santa is finally arrested, it feels like a symbolic low point. The man who is supposed to represent joy and miracles is locked in a jail cell, powerless, while Christmas inches closer to disaster. Kate's journey takes a sudden turn when she dives into Santa's bag and ends up transported to the North Pole. This shift in setting changes the tone completely. The cold, glowing world of the elves feels alive with energy, color, and purpose. Unlike the skeptical adults back in the city, the elves operate on pure belief and discipline. They are playful but serious, funny yet deeply committed to their work. Through them, the film shows what Christmas looks like when everyone involved truly believes in what they're doing. Kate's interaction with the elves reinforces her role as the emotional heart of the story. They recognize her as a true believer, someone whose faith hasn't been broken by loss or disappointment. This recognition isn't just magical, it's emotional validation. For a child who has watched her family struggle after losing her father, being told that her belief matters gives her strength. The elves' decision to help repair the sleigh and prepare for Santa's return feels like hope physically rebuilding itself, piece by piece. Meanwhile, Teddy's situation grows darker. Being captured by a group of criminals is more than just a physical threat. It represents the danger of growing up too fast and losing innocence. Teddy has spent so much time acting tough and detached that he has ended up in real danger, far from the safety of home and family. Yet even here, his love for Kate pushes him to stay calm and think clearly. When Kate returns with the elves to rescue him, it's not just an action moment. It's a reminder that family support can pull someone out of even the worst situations. Back at the police station, Santa's quiet conversation with Officer Paveda stands out as one of the most emotionally grounded moments in the story. Instead of magic tricks or grand gestures, Santa uses understanding and empathy. He speaks about the officer's failed marriage, his regrets, and his unspoken hopes. This moment shows that Santa's real power isn't speed or flying reindeer, but his ability to see people for who they truly are. Poveder's gradual shift from skepticism to belief mirrors the larger message of the film. Belief often returns when someone feels seen and understood. As Christmas Eve continues, the consequences of fading belief become visible across the city. Arrests increase, chaos spreads, and the atmosphere grows tense. Santa's warning comes true, proving that Christmas spirit isn't just a feeling, but something that actively holds people together. When Santa leads the inmates in a musical performance, it's both absurd and oddly touching. Music becomes a tool to reignite joy, even in a place meant for punishment. It's a reminder that Christmas spirit can survive in the most unexpected places. By the time Santa is finally released, the story has built itself back up, from despair to hope. The sleigh is repaired, the reindeer are ready, and the final plan comes together in a rush of urgency and excitement. Teddy driving the sleigh and Kate throwing presents is chaotic, risky, and imperfect. But that imperfection is what makes it work. This isn't a flawless operation. It's a desperate effort fueled by trust and teamwork. As dawn approaches, the final deliveries are made just in time. Exhaustion replaces panic, and relief settles in quietly. When Santa drops Kate and Teddy back home, the story circles back to what truly matters: family, memory, and healing. The house is transformed into the warm, familiar space their father once created, showing that love can continue even after loss. The gifts they receive aren't just objects, they're symbols. Kate's skateboard represents freedom and childhood joy, while Teddy's ornament reflects emotional closure and connection with his father. These moments bring the emotional journey full circle, proving that the night wasn't just about saving Christmas for the world, but about restoring belief within one family. The morning after Christmas Eve arrives softly, almost cautiously, as if the world itself is unsure whether it truly deserves the joy it's about to receive. Snow settles quietly, streets calm down, and the chaos of the night fades into memory. Yet the emotional impact of what happened refuses to disappear. For Kate and Teddy, this is not just another Christmas morning. It is the moment where belief, loss, and healing finally collide. Their house feels warmer than it has in years, filled with a presence that goes beyond decorations or wrapped gifts. It feels whole again. Claire returns home unaware of the extraordinary journey her children have been through. To her, the house looks different, but not in a way that immediately raises suspicion. The decorations mirror the way Doug used to prepare the house every Christmas, with careful detail and love. This quiet visual callback serves as an emotional bridge between the past and the present. It suggests that even though Doug is gone, his influence remains alive in the smallest traditions. Kate notices this instantly, her eyes lighting up with recognition, while Teddy stands silently, absorbing the weight of the moment. Teddy's emotional arc becomes especially clear here. Throughout the story, he has been carrying guilt, anger, and a sense of responsibility that doesn't belong on someone so young. The ornament Santa gives him becomes more than a magical object. It becomes a mirror reflecting his inner world. When he sees his father's reflection, it's not a ghostly appearance meant to frighten or shock. It's gentle, reassuring, and deeply personal. Doug's presence isn't about regret or sadness anymore. It's about pride. Teddy finally hears what he's needed all along: that his father sees him, understands him, and believes in him. Kate's joy, on the other hand, feels lighter but no less meaningful. Her skateboard represents motion, growth, and freedom. It's a symbol of childhood continuing forward instead of being frozen by grief. Kate never stopped believing in Santa, but what she truly held on to was hope. Her belief kept the story moving when logic and fear threatened to shut everything down. In many ways, she becomes the emotional engine of the film, reminding everyone that faith doesn't always need proof to be powerful. Back at the North Pole, the film briefly shifts focus to Santa himself. Reuniting with Mrs. Claus feels like a quiet reward after the exhausting night. Their exchange is playful yet affectionate, showing a relationship built on shared responsibility and understanding rather than grand romance. When Santa pulls out Kate's video, it becomes clear that even he values memory. Despite centuries of Christmases, this one mattered. It challenged him, pushed him out of routine, and reminded him why his role still matters in a modern world that often doubts him. This reflection extends beyond Santa to the audience itself. The film subtly asks whether belief is something we grow out of, or something we simply forget to protect. The adults in the story aren't evil or cruel. They're tired, distracted, and disconnected. Officer Poveder's journey illustrates this perfectly. His belief doesn't return because of magic alone, but because someone acknowledges his loneliness and unresolved feelings. When belief reconnects with empathy, it becomes something real again. The city of Chicago also acts as a character in its own way. During the chaos of the night, it represents modern skepticism, fast-paced life, and emotional distance. By morning, however, it transforms into a place where Christmas has quietly survived. The streets don't explode with celebration, but there's a sense that something important was preserved. The world didn't end because a few people chose to believe when it mattered most. What makes this story resonate is its balance between spectacle and intimacy. The sleigh crash, car chases, and magical creatures provide excitement, but they never overshadowed the emotional core. At its heart, this is a story about a family learning how to move forward without forgetting where they came from. Claire's struggle as a single parent, Teddy's inner conflict, and Kate's unwavering hope all feel grounded and relatable, even within a fantastical setting. Santa himself is portrayed in a way that breaks tradition without disrespecting it. He's rough around the edges, sarcastic, and visibly frustrated at times, yet deeply compassionate. This version of Santa understands human pain, not just children's wishes. He knows that sometimes what people need isn't a gift, but reassurance that they're not alone. His interaction with the inmates, the officer, and the kids all reinforce this idea. As the film closes, it leaves the audience with a sense of quiet satisfaction, rather than explosive triumph. Christmas is saved, yes, but more importantly, belief is restored as blind faith, but as something tied to love, memory, and connection. The magic works because people choose to let it work. That message lingers long after the final scene fades. The story doesn't insist that miracles happen every day. Instead, it suggests that moments of belief, however brief, can change how people see the world and each other. Kate and Teddy won't stay children forever. They'll grow up, face doubts, and encounter loss again. But the night they saved Christmas becomes a foundation they can return to whenever belief feels distant. In the end, the film quietly reminds us that Christmas spirit isn't about perfection or constant happiness. It's about showing up for one another, holding on to hope when things feel broken, and allowing ourselves to believe, if only for a night, that something good can still happen. The aftermath of that Christmas morning doesn't end with opened gifts or warm smiles. Instead, it quietly reshapes the lives of everyone involved in ways that aren't immediately obvious. For Kate and Teddy, the night becomes something they don't talk about openly, not because it feels unreal, but because it feels sacred. It's the kind of experience that lives beneath the surface, shaping choices, reactions, and emotional resilience long after the decorations are put away. Their bond as siblings deepens, strengthened by a shared secret that goes far beyond catching Santa on camera. Teddy's transformation is subtle yet powerful. The rebellious edge he carried earlier doesn't vanish overnight, but it softens. He no longer feels the need to act out in order to fill the emotional space left by his father. The ornament he received becomes a private anchor, something he doesn't show off or explain. It reminds him that his anger was never weakness, just unprocessed grief. With that realization comes maturity, not forced or rushed, but earned. He begins to step into responsibility not out of obligation, but from a place of inner stability. Kate, meanwhile, carries forward her belief in a way that evolves naturally. She doesn't cling to Santa as proof of magic, but as confirmation that hope is worth protecting. Her worldview remains bright, yet it gains depth. She understands now that belief isn't fragile or childish, it's brave. Watching her move through the days after Christmas, there's a sense that she's learning when to speak up, when to trust her instincts, and when to remind others that wonder still exists, even if they've forgotten how to see it. Claire's journey is perhaps the quietest, but no less important. She senses a shift in her children, an unspoken change that manifests in their calmness, their closeness, and their renewed sense of warmth toward the season. She doesn't know the details, and she never will, but she feels the result. For the first time since Doug's death, Christmas doesn't feel like an obligation she must survive. Instead, it becomes something she can participate in again. That realization alone marks a turning point in her healing. The absence of Doug remains, but it no longer dominates the space. Instead of being a wound that reopens every holiday, his memory becomes something integrated into their lives. His presence is felt in laughter, shared meals, and small rituals rather than silence and tension. This emotional shift doesn't erase grief, it transforms it. The family learns that moving forward doesn't mean letting go, it means carrying love in a way that allows room for joy. Beyond the Pierce family, the ripple effects of that night stretch outward. Officer Poveda's renewed belief, Doesn't just restore his faith in Christmas, it restores his faith in connection. His reconciliation with Lisa isn't portrayed as a dramatic reunion, but as a gentle reopening of possibility. It reflects the film's larger message. Belief doesn't force outcomes. It creates opportunities. When people allow themselves to hope, even cautiously, they open doors that had quietly closed over time. Santa's role in all of this is intentionally understated in the aftermath. He doesn't linger in the story because he doesn't need to. His purpose isn't to remain present, but to catalyze change. That's what makes his character compelling. He isn't there to fix lives permanently. He's there to remind people of something they already possess but may have forgotten. His magic amplifies belief, but it never replaces personal growth or emotional responsibility. The North Pole scenes reinforce this philosophy. Rather than presenting Santa's world as flawless, the film shows it as functional, cooperative, and built on trust. The elves aren't mindless workers. They're contributors to a shared mission. Their willingness to help Kate without hesitation reflects a value system rooted in belief as action rather than tradition. They don't help because she believes they help, because she acts on that belief with courage and sincerity. What sets this story apart from typical holiday narratives is its refusal to treat belief as something binary. Characters don't simply believe or disbelieve. They struggle, doubt, resist, and eventually choose. That choice is what matters. Teddy chooses to confront his grief. Claire chooses to reopen herself to joy. Paveda chooses to trust. Even Santa chooses to adapt, recognizing that the modern world requires more than routine to keep belief alive. The pacing of the story allows these choices to breathe. There's no rush to resolve every emotional thread neatly. Instead, the film trusts the audience to understand that healing is ongoing. Christmas becomes a milestone, not a finish line. This approach adds authenticity, making the fantastical elements feel grounded rather than escapist. Music plays a significant role in reinforcing this emotional realism. Songs aren't just background elements. They act as emotional cues that guide tone without overpowering it. The jailhouse performance, in particular, transforms what could have been a comedic gimmick into a moment of collective release. It's not about Santa showing off, it's about people reconnecting with something joyful together, even in an unlikely place. The visual language of the film supports this emotional arc. Warm lighting, soft snowfall, and intimate framing create a sense of closeness. Even the chaotic sequences are shot in a way that keeps focus on character reactions, rather than spectacle. The magic feels personal, not distant. This stylistic choice reinforces the idea that Christmas magic doesn't descend from above. It emerges from within relationships. As time passes, the memory of the night naturally fades in detail, but not in impact. Kate may forget the exact sound of the sleigh or the smell of the North Pole, but she won't forget how it felt to be trusted with something important. Teddy may not remember every word his father seemed to say through the ornament, but he'll remember the feeling of being seen. Those impressions shape who they become more than any physical evidence ever could. Ultimately, the story frames Christmas not as a solution, but as a reminder. It reminds characters and viewers that belief is something we practice, not something we inherit. It requires effort, vulnerability, and sometimes risk. But when chosen, it has the power to reconnect families, heal emotional wounds, and restore meaning to traditions that might otherwise feel hollow. The night Santa crashes in Chicago becomes legendary only in its consequences, not its recognition. The world doesn't know how close it came to losing Christmas, and that's exactly the point. The most important moments in life often happen quietly, unnoticed by most, yet profoundly shaping the lives of those involved. That truth lingers as the story continues forward, setting the foundation for everything that comes next. The days following that extraordinary Christmas slowly settle into something that looks like normal life, but the sense of normal has changed forever. For the Pierce family, routines resume: school mornings, work shifts, small arguments over chores, but there is an emotional steadiness that wasn't there before. The house feels warmer, not because of decorations or lights, but because the silence that once lingered has finally loosened its grip. Christmas no longer stands as a painful reminder of loss. Instead, it becomes a quiet marker of resilience. Teddy begins to navigate his teenage years with a new internal compass. He doesn't suddenly become perfect or obedient, but he starts to think before acting. The anger that once pushed him toward reckless choices now pauses, as if giving him a chance to breathe before deciding who he wants to be. When friends talk about stealing cars or pushing limits just to feel alive, Teddy listens without jumping in. He realizes he doesn't need chaos to feel real anymore. There is something grounding in knowing that magic once trusted him enough to place the fate of Christmas in his hands. At school, Teachers notice the change before anyone else does. His focus improves, not dramatically, but enough to show effort. He begins finishing assignments he once ignored and stops treating authority as something to automatically resist. This shift isn't driven by fear or discipline. It's driven by respect. Teddy understands that being strong doesn't always mean pushing back. Kit can also mean moving forward quietly, with purpose. He still carries grief, but it no longer defines his identity. Kate's experience unfolds differently. Her belief remains vivid, but it matures into something less about proving magic exists, and more about living as if kindness matters. She becomes more attentive to people around her, especially those who seem overlooked or lonely. Whether it's a classmate sitting alone or a neighbor struggling with groceries, Kate steps in instinctively. Her faith in Santa evolves into faith in people, rooted in the idea that goodness spreads when someone chooses to act. She keeps the memory of the North Pole close, not as a fantasy she clings to, but as a reminder of responsibility. Being a true believer doesn't mean expecting miracles. It means becoming part of one. This belief shapes her confidence. She speaks up more often, asks thoughtful questions, and refuses to let cynicism silence her optimism. Even when others dismiss her outlook as childish, she remains steady, unshaken. Claire observes both children with a mixture of pride and curiosity. She senses that something profound happened that night, something she wasn't meant to witness. Rather than pushing for answers, she respects the boundary. As a mother, she recognizes when growth needs space rather than scrutiny. For the first time in years, she feels she can trust the direction her family is moving in. That trust becomes a source of peace. Her own healing continues in quiet ways. She starts playing music again in the evenings, something she stopped doing after Doug's death. The songs aren't sad or nostalgic. They're warm and familiar, filling the house with a sense of continuity. Claire also reconnects with old traditions, adjusting them rather than abandoning them. She cooks Doug's favorite meals but adds new variations, honoring the past without freezing herself in it. The memory of Doug becomes less about absence and more about presence in spirit. The ornament Teddy received doesn't just symbolize closure. It becomes a bridge between generations of belief. It reflects the idea that love doesn't vanish when someone is gone, it changes form. That realization helps Claire stop viewing grief as something to escape. Instead, she learns to coexist with it, allowing joy to exist alongside sorrow. Elsewhere, Officer Paveda's life also shifts subtly but meaningfully. His renewed belief doesn't turn him into a different person. It simply reconnects him to parts of himself he'd set aside. His reconciliation with Lisa grows slowly, built on honesty rather than nostalgia. They don't pretend the past didn't happen. Instead, they acknowledge how distance formed and why it mattered. Their renewed connection reflects the film's recurring message: the belief opens doors, but effort keeps them open. Santa's influence remains invisible but persistent. Though the world at large never learns how close it came to losing Christmas, its effects are felt in small, unmeasurable ways. People are a little kinder, a little more patient, a little more willing to believe that joy is worth protecting. These changes aren't dramatic enough to make headlines, but they shape daily interactions. A smile lasts longer. A stranger holds a door open. Someone chooses understanding over frustration. This subtle transformation reinforces the story's core philosophy. Magic doesn't overpower reality, it blends into it. The film doesn't suggest that belief erases hardship or suffering. Instead, it shows how belief gives people the strength to face those challenges without becoming hardened by them. Christmas magic doesn't exist to escape life. It exists to help people live it better. The absence of constant spectacle allows emotional authenticity to take center stage. By stepping away from grand set pieces, the story focuses on how extraordinary moments echo long after they end. The sleigh rides, chases, and crashes were thrilling, but their true significance lies in how they reshaped hearts. This approach grounds the narrative, making it resonate beyond the holiday season. As time moves forward, the Pierce family doesn't talk about that night openly, but it becomes part of their shared identity. It influences how they handle disagreements, how they celebrate milestones, and how they support each other during setbacks. The magic of Christmas becomes less about belief in Santa specifically, and more about belief in connection, forgiveness, and renewal. The story gently reminds the audience that growing up doesn't mean letting go of wonder, it means redefining it. Teddy learns that strength can coexist with vulnerability. Kate learns that belief carries responsibility. Claire learns that love doesn't disappear when someone is gone, it adapts. These lessons don't arrive wrapped in ribbons or explained through speeches. They emerge naturally through lived experience. By the time another Christmas approaches, There's no sense of fear or pressure. The family doesn't worry about recreating the magic of the previous year. They understand now that magic isn't something you repeat, it's something you carry forward. And in that understanding, the spirit of Christmas becomes timeless rather than seasonal. As winter slowly gives way to the first signs of spring, the world outside changes, but the emotional aftermath of that Christmas night continues to shape the lives it touched. Time moves forward, yet the invisible thread of belief remains tightly woven into everyday moments. What once felt like an impossible adventure now lives quietly beneath the surface, influencing choices, reactions, and the way people see one another. For Teddy, the passage of time brings reflection. He starts to recognize patterns in his past behavior. Moments where anger and confusion pushed him toward decisions that didn't align with who he truly was. Instead of running from those memories, he examines them. The night he helped save Christmas becomes a reference point, not as something to boast about, but as proof that he is capable of responsibility when it matters most. This realization slowly reshapes his self-image. He begins to channel his restless energy into constructive outlets. Sports become more than a distraction. They become a discipline. On the field, Teddy learns patience, teamwork, and accountability. He no longer plays just to win or dominate, but to contribute. Coaches notice his leadership emerging naturally. He encourages teammates, accepts mistakes, and listens when guidance is offered. These moments reflect a growing maturity that feels earned rather than forced. At home, Teddy's relationship with Claire deepens. Conversations between them grow more open, less guarded. They don't talk directly about that extraordinary night, but they discuss fears, expectations, and the pressure of growing up too fast. Claire listens without judgment, and Teddy responds with honesty he once avoided. Their bond strengthens through shared vulnerability, creating a sense of partnership rather than authority alone. Kate's journey continues to unfold with curiosity and imagination. Her belief doesn't fade with time. It evolves into a quiet confidence that shapes how she navigates the world. She becomes fascinated with stories, myths, legends, and histories that speak of courage and kindness. In school, she gravitates towards subjects that explore human behavior, eager to understand why people act the way they do. Her curiosity is rooted in empathy rather than simple wonder. She also begins to understand that belief can be fragile. Not everyone is ready to accept hope without proof, and Kate learns to respect that. Instead of trying to convince others of magic, she focuses on embodying it. Her actions speak louder than explanations. When someone is hurt or discouraged, she responds instinctively with compassion. These choices reflect a maturity beyond her years, guided by the quiet lessons she learned during that unforgettable night. Claire, meanwhile, continues rebuilding her sense of self beyond survival. The constant weight of responsibility begins to lift as she allows herself moments of joy without guilt. She reconnects with friends she once drifted away from, rediscovering laughter that doesn't feel forced. These reconnections remind her that she is more than a caretaker or a grieving widow. She is a person with her own dreams and desires. Her work at the hospital takes on new meaning as well. Claire becomes more patient with those she treats, understanding that pain often hides beneath frustration or fear. Her empathy deepens, shaped by personal loss and quiet healing. She carries herself with renewed strength, offering reassurance not only through medical expertise but through genuine presence. In helping others heal, she continues to heal herself. Beyond the Pierce household, the ripple effects of that Christmas extend outward in subtle ways. Officer Poveda finds himself approaching his job with renewed compassion. He no longer views people solely through the lens of law and order, but through understanding and context. His belief doesn't make him naive, it makes him attentive. He listens more, reacts less, and chooses empathy when possible. This shift changes the atmosphere around him, influencing colleagues and the community alike. His relationship with Lisa continues to grow, built on shared effort rather than sudden transformation. They learn to communicate honestly, acknowledging past mistakes without letting them define the future. Their reconciliation isn't portrayed as perfect or effortless. It's realistic and grounded. It reflects the film's belief that magic opens doors, but commitment keeps them open. Elsewhere, the unseen machinery of Christmas spirit quietly resets itself. Santa returns to his timeless rhythm, overseeing preparations with renewed appreciation for the fragility of belief. The elves worked with familiar efficiency, but there's an added sense of gratitude in their movements. They remember the night when everything nearly unraveled, and that memory strengthens their purpose. The North Pole continues its work, unseen yet essential, sustaining the balance between wonder and reality. Santa himself carries the memory of the Pierce children close. not as a reminder of danger, but as proof of trust. He understands that belief thrives when shared responsibly. The world doesn't need constant miracles. It needs people willing to act when belief is tested. This understanding guides his quiet watch over humanity, allowing him to intervene only when absolutely necessary. As seasons pass, Christmas becomes less about spectacle and more about meaning for those involved. The decorations, songs, and traditions remain, but they feel grounded rather than performative. The Pierce family approaches each holiday with intention, choosing connection over perfection. They allow space for imperfections, understanding that togetherness matters more than appearances. The story's emotional center lies in these everyday choices. There is no dramatic climax or grand revelation waiting at the end, only the steady accumulation of growth and understanding. The absence of constant magic highlights the importance of human agency. Belief doesn't eliminate challenges. It equips people to face them with courage and compassion. This approach reinforces the idea that the most powerful magic is often invisible. It exists in forgiveness, patience, and the willingness to try again. The film doesn't argue that belief guarantees happiness. It suggests that belief makes happiness possible. That distinction gives the narrative emotional weight and authenticity. As another year unfolds, the Pierce family continues forward, shaped but not defined by the past. They carry memories without clinging to them, allowing life to evolve naturally. Their journey reflects a universal truth. Extraordinary moments don't change who we are overnight, they reveal who we can become. The quiet confidence that now fills their home stands as evidence of lasting transformation. The magic of that Christmas night didn't fade with time. It integrated itself into the fabric of daily life, and in doing so, it proved that belief, once awakened, never truly disappears. It simply finds new ways to express itself. As the rhythm of everyday life settles into something familiar again, the echoes of that extraordinary winter night continue to influence choices in ways that are not always obvious. The magic no longer arrives in dramatic bursts. Instead, it exists in quiet decisions and subtle shifts in perspective. What once felt like an adventure beyond imagination now serves as an emotional compass, guiding behavior when uncertainty appears. Teddy finds himself at a crossroads as he grows older. Expectations begin to pile up from every direction: school, friendships, future plans, and the pressure to define himself becomes unavoidable. Where he once responded with resistance or sarcasm, he now approaches these moments with thoughtfulness. The lessons learned during that night resurface not as memories but as instincts. He pauses before reacting, considers consequences, and chooses responsibility more often than not. His friendships evolve as well. Some drift away naturally, while others strengthen through shared honesty. Teddy becomes more selective about who he lets close, valuing trust over popularity. He learns that loyalty isn't proven through reckless acts but through consistency and presence. When friends struggle, he listens rather than offering quick solutions. This shift earns him respect, not because he demands it, but because he embodies reliability. Kate's world expands in its own unique way. Her imagination remains vivid, but it matures alongside her understanding of reality. She begins to recognize that belief doesn't require constant validation. Instead of searching for signs, she learns to create meaning through action. She volunteers at school events, helps classmates who feel left out, and approaches challenges with optimism grounded in effort rather than fantasy. Her creativity flourishes through writing and art. Stories spill from her imagination, filled with courage, loss, and renewal. Teachers notice how her narratives carry emotional depth beyond her age. Rather than escaping into fantasy, she uses it as a lens to explore human experience. This ability to translate wonder into understanding becomes one of her greatest strengths. At home, the Pierce family continues to redefine what togetherness means. Traditions are no longer rigid or ceremonial. They are flexible and intentional. Meals become opportunities for connection rather than routine. Conversations stretch longer, allowing space for reflection and laughter. The home feels less like a place of obligation and more like a sanctuary built on mutual respect. Claire plays a central role in maintaining this balance. She has learned that strength doesn't require constant control. Allowing her children independence doesn't mean abandoning guidance, it means trusting the foundation she helped build. She offers advice when asked, support when needed, and silence when appropriate. This balance creates an environment where growth feels safe rather than pressured. Her professional life also reflects this evolution. Claire takes on mentorship roles at the hospital, supporting younger colleagues, navigating burnout and emotional strain. She understands firsthand how grief and responsibility can weigh heavily, and she offers compassion without judgment. Her leadership style emphasizes empathy alongside competence, creating a ripple effect that improves morale and patient care alike. Beyond the family, the broader community continues to experience subtle shifts. The events of that Christmas night, though largely forgotten by the public, left behind an intangible residue of hope. People find themselves acting with slightly more patience, slightly more generosity. These changes aren't dramatic enough to attract attention, but they accumulate, slowly reshaping interactions and expectations. Officer Pervader's influence becomes more noticeable over time. His approach to policing emphasizes prevention and understanding rather than reaction. He builds relationships within the community, learning names, stories, and struggles. This familiarity fosters trust, making cooperation more natural. His belief doesn't blind him to reality, it sharpens his awareness of human complexity. His personal life continues to stabilize as well. The reconciliation with Lisa deepens through shared effort and mutual accountability. They learn to navigate conflict without retreating into defensiveness. Their relationship becomes a testament to the idea that second chances require ongoing commitment, not grand gestures. The magic that brought them back together is sustained through everyday choices. Far away, the unseen guardians of wonder remain vigilant. The North Pole operates with its usual precision, but there is a renewed emphasis on balance. Santa understands that belief must be protected, not exploited. He intervenes sparingly, trusting humanity to carry its share of responsibility. This restraint reinforces the idea that magic complements human effort rather than replacing it. The elves, too, reflect this philosophy in their work. They approach their tasks with pride, aware that their labor supports something larger than tradition. Each toy crafted represents a promise kept, a moment of joy delivered. Their dedication remains steady, fueled by the knowledge that belief thrives through reliability as much as surprise. As another holiday season approaches, the Pierce family prepares without anxiety. Decorations are chosen thoughtfully, memories shared openly. There is no attempt to recreate the past or outdo previous celebrations. Instead, the focus rests on presence and appreciation. The children understand that the true gift lies in shared experience rather than material perfection. Teddy approaches this season with a quiet sense of responsibility. He helps organize gatherings, supports his mother without being asked, and watches over Kate with protective affection rather than obligation. These actions aren't dramatic, but they signify growth. He understands that maturity is measured through consistency, not isolated acts of heroism. Kate, meanwhile, experiences this season with reflective joy. She recognizes that belief doesn't need spectacle to survive. Small moments, a shared laugh, a kind gesture, a familiar song carry just as much meaning. Her ability to find wonder in simplicity reinforces the narrative's central message. Magic adapts as people grow. The story continues to move forward without urgency. There is no looming threat or climactic challenge on the horizon. Instead, the tension lies in maintaining what has been gained. Growth requires attention, and belief requires care. The characters understand this intuitively, approaching life with intention rather than expectation. This steady progression emphasizes the film's emotional maturity. Rather than relying on constant excitement, it trusts the audience to appreciate nuance. The absence of spectacle highlights the significance of internal transformation. Each character's journey reinforces the idea that lasting change unfolds gradually, shaped by daily choices. As time passes, the memory of that night becomes less vivid but more integrated. It no longer stands apart from reality, it blends into identity. The characters don't cling to it as proof of something extraordinary. They carry it as a reminder of what is possible when belief and action align. The world around them continues to change, unpredictable and imperfect. Challenges arise, mistakes are made, and uncertainty remains. Yet the foundation built through belief provides resilience. It doesn't eliminate hardship, but it offers perspective. This quiet strength becomes the story's most enduring legacy. In the end, the magic of that Christmas night lives on, not through repetition, but through evolution. It transforms alongside those it touched, adapting to new circumstances and challenges. And in doing so, it proves that belief, once earned, becomes a lifelong companion, guiding, grounding, and gently reminding people of the best versions of themselves. As winter deepens and the year slowly turns toward its close, a sense of reflection settles over everyone touched by that unforgettable night. Life moves forward, yet the echoes of belief continue to shape choices in quiet, meaningful ways. The extraordinary has fully blended into the ordinary, and that transformation gives everyday moments a deeper weight. Teddy begins to feel the pull of the future more strongly than ever. Conversations about college, careers, and independence surround him, sometimes exciting and sometimes overwhelming. Unlike before, he no longer shuts these discussions down. Instead, he listens, asks questions, and considers possibilities without fear. The confidence he carries isn't loud or showy. It's rooted in the knowledge that he can adapt, just as he did when everything seemed to fall apart that Christmas Eve. At school, Teddy discovers a surprising talent for leadership. Group projects naturally drift toward him, not because he demands control, but because he brings calm and clarity to chaos. Teachers notice his ability to mediate disagreements and keep people focused without dismissing their ideas. These moments teach him that strength doesn't come from dominance, it comes from trust and fairness. Kate's growth takes a different shape. Her belief, once centered on magic itself, shifts toward people. She becomes fascinated by how individuals influence one another through kindness, courage, and sacrifice. This curiosity leads her to ask deeper questions about history, art, and human behavior. She wants to understand how moments of hope change lives, even when no one notices at the time. Her bond with Teddy evolves as well. The playful teasing of childhood remains, but it's layered with mutual respect. They confide in each other more openly, sharing fears they wouldn't voice elsewhere. Teddy listens when Kate worries about losing wonder as she grows older. Kate reassures him when he doubts his readiness for adulthood. Their relationship becomes a safe space where honesty thrives. Claire watches these changes with quiet pride. She recognizes that her role has shifted once again, from protector to guide. She doesn't hover or intervene unnecessarily. Instead, she remains available, offering wisdom drawn from experience rather than instruction. This balance strengthens the family dynamic, reinforcing trust without sacrificing connection. Her own internal journey continues to. Grief no longer feels like an open wound, but it still surfaces unexpectedly. Certain songs, dates, or shared memories bring a bittersweet ache. Rather than pushing these feelings away, Claire allows herself to sit with them. She understands now that healing doesn't mean forgetting it, means integrating loss into life, without letting it define every moment. The household embraces this honesty. Conversations about Doug become natural rather than painful. Stories are shared with laughter as often as tears. His presence feels less like an absence, and more like a thread woven into their identity. This acceptance allows the family to move forward, without guilt or fear of letting go. Beyond the Pierce home, the broader world continues to shift in subtle ways. Acts of generosity appear more frequently, sometimes inspired by nothing more than a shared smile or a moment of empathy. These small gestures ripple outward, creating connections that might never have existed otherwise. The influence of belief proves contagious, spreading quietly rather than dramatically. Officer Poveda's approach continues to redefine his role within the community. He becomes known not just as an authority figure, but as someone people trust. Neighborhood events feel safer and more welcoming under his presence. He understands that maintaining order isn't just about rules, it's about relationships. This philosophy transforms how people interact with one another, fostering cooperation instead of fear. His personal life reflects this same stability. He and Lisa build routines grounded in mutual support. They learn to communicate openly, addressing issues before resentment takes root. Their relationship becomes a reminder that reconciliation isn't a single moment, it's an ongoing process shaped by patience and effort. Far from the city streets, the Guardians of Wonder continue their work with deliberate care. Santa's role feels lighter now, not because responsibility has diminished, but because trust has grown. He understands that humanity doesn't need constant reminders, just occasional guidance. This belief allows him to step back without losing purpose. The North Pole adapts accordingly. Systems evolve to prioritize sustainability over excess. The elves find satisfaction in refinement rather than expansion, ensuring that each gift carries intention. Their work remains joyful, fueled by the understanding that magic thrives when aligned with meaning. As the next holiday season approaches, anticipation builds without pressure. The Pierce family prepares differently than before. Instead of striving for perfection, they focus on presence. Decorations are chosen for their stories, rather than their shine. Music fills the house not as background noise, but as shared experience. Teddy takes on responsibility naturally, helping coordinate gatherings and ensuring Kate feels included in decisions. He no longer sees these tasks as burdens. They represent trust evidence that he's capable and valued. Each completed task reinforces his sense of belonging and purpose. Kate approaches the season with thoughtful enthusiasm. She notices details others overlook: the way lights reflect in windows, the comfort of familiar traditions, the warmth of shared silence. These observations inspire her creative projects, transforming simple moments into lasting memories. Her ability to find wonder in restraint becomes a defining trait. Claire feels a sense of peace she once thought impossible. The house feels full again, not because everything is perfect, but because it's honest. She understands that joy doesn't erase sorrow. It coexists with it. This realization brings freedom, allowing her to embrace happiness without fear of betrayal. As the season unfolds, challenges still arise. Misunderstandings occur, plans change, and expectations clash. Yet the family navigates these moments with patience rather than frustration. They've learned that resilience doesn't come from avoiding conflict, comes from addressing it with compassion. The narrative continues to emphasize quiet transformation. There are no grand revelations or dramatic twists. Instead, growth appears through consistency. Each character chooses kindness when irritation would be easier, understanding when judgment would feel justified. These choices accumulate, shaping identities over time. The memory of that extraordinary night remains present but no longer dominant. It serves as a foundation rather than a destination. The characters don't chase its magic, they embody its lessons. This shift underscores the story's deeper message. Belief matures alongside those who hold it. As another year draws to a close, reflection replaces anticipation. The Pierce family looks back not just on what they experienced, but on how they've changed. They recognize that the greatest gift wasn't the adventure itself, but the perspective it offered. This understanding brings gratitude without longing. The world beyond continues its unpredictable course. Uncertainty remains a constant, but fear no longer controls the response. Belief provides steadiness, reminding everyone involved that hope isn't fragile, it's adaptable. It bends without breaking, reshaping itself to meet new challenges. In this ongoing journey, magic exists not as an interruption, but as an undercurrent. It flows quietly beneath daily life, influencing decisions and shaping values. The story doesn't rush toward a conclusion. Instead, it invites reflection, encouraging appreciation for growth that unfolds slowly and authentically. What emerges is a portrait of maturity grounded in belief. The characters understand that wonder doesn't fade with age, it evolves. It becomes less about spectacle and more about intention. Through this evolution, the spirit of that Christmas night lives on, not as a memory to revisit, but as a guide for the future. As the calendar flips once more, the rhythm of daily life settles into a steady pace, yet something intangible continues to hum beneath the surface. It's not excitement exactly, nor nostalgic's awareness, the kind that sharpens perception and encourages intention. For the Pierce family, that awareness becomes the lens through which they view the world. Teddy begins to recognize how easily people drift through routines without reflection. He notices it in classmates who chase approval, in friends who fear standing apart, and even in adults who've forgotten how to pause. Rather than judging them, he feels an unexpected pull toward understanding. This empathy shapes his interactions, making him more patient and thoughtful in ways he never consciously planned. He volunteers more often, drawn to opportunities that place him in service of others. Community events, mentorship programs, and school initiatives become part of his life. Each experience reinforces the idea that contribution isn't about recognition, it's about presence. The more he gives, the clearer his sense of direction becomes. Kate's world expands through curiosity. Her questions grow bolder, her observations sharper. She keeps journals filled with sketches, reflections, and fragments of ideas inspired by ordinary encounters. A conversation overheard on a bus, a moment of kindness between strangers, or even silence shared with a friend becomes material for exploration. She learns that wonder isn't confined to extraordinary events, it's woven into everyday existence. Her creativity finds new outlets. She experiments with photography, capturing moments others might dismiss as mundane. These images tell stories of connection and resilience, revealing beauty through perspective rather than spectacle. Teachers encourage her talent, but she remains driven by intrinsic motivation rather than praise. Claire continues to evolve alongside her children. She reflects on how grief once narrowed her focus, limiting her ability to imagine future joy. Now, she allows herself to plan again, not rigidly, but with openness. She understands that uncertainty doesn't negate hope, it complements it. This balance allows her to approach life with flexibility rather than fear. Her work at the hospital deepens her appreciation for resilience. She witnesses strength in unexpected places, patients who faced adversity with grace, families who support one another through exhaustion and despair. These experiences reaffirm her belief that compassion isn't optional, it's essential. She carries this perspective home, influencing family conversations and decisions. The household dynamic remains fluid. Roles shift naturally as Teddy grows more independent and Kate seeks autonomy. Claire encourages this evolution, resisting the urge to control outcomes. She trusts that the foundation they've built will support whatever paths unfold. This trust fosters confidence, allowing each family member to navigate challenges without isolation. Their shared rituals adapt accordingly. Traditions aren't abandoned, they're reimagined. Meals become opportunities for storytelling rather than routine. Evenings often end with quiet reflection, sometimes accompanied by music or shared reading. These moments reinforce connection without demanding effort, reminding everyone that closeness doesn't require constant activity. Beyond their home, the broader community reflects subtle change. People seem more receptive to one another, more willing to listen before reacting. Whether influenced by shared experiences or simple coincidence, this shift creates space for dialogue and collaboration. Small acts of kindness accumulate, shaping collective atmosphere without fanfare. Officer Povada's influence continues to ripple outward. His approach inspires colleagues, encouraging empathy alongside responsibility. He organizes outreach programs focused on prevention rather than punishment, building relationships that strengthen trust. This philosophy challenges traditional perceptions of authority, proving that leadership, rooted in compassion, fosters genuine respect. His partnership with Lisa flourishes under this same principle. They prioritize communication, addressing concerns before they escalate. Their relationship becomes a testament to growth through vulnerability, demonstrating that reconciliation thrives on effort rather than assumption. Together, they embody balance, supporting one another without losing individuality. At the North Pole, operations maintain their quiet efficiency. The elves focus on quality rather than quantity, emphasizing craftsmanship and intention. Santa observes these changes with satisfaction, recognizing that adaptation ensures longevity. He understands that relevance isn't maintained through repetition, it evolves through responsiveness. His reflections grow more introspective. He considers how belief has transformed over time, shifting from AU2 to understanding. This evolution doesn't diminish magic, it refines it. He accepts that his role is less about intervention and more about stewardship, guiding belief rather than controlling it. As another festive season approaches, anticipation remains gentle rather than urgent. Preparations unfold organically, shaped by reflection rather than obligation. Decorations emphasize memory over aesthetics. Each ornament tells a story. Each tradition honors connection rather than perfection. Teddy embraces leadership within the family dynamic. He coordinates gatherings with ease, mindful of everyone's needs. He listens more than he speaks, recognizing that understanding often precedes action. His confidence feels grounded, no longer dependent on external validation. Kate approaches the season with thoughtful intention. She contributes ideas infused with creativity, suggesting new traditions alongside familiar ones. Her enthusiasm remains sincere, tempered by awareness. She understands that joy thrives when shared rather than showcased. Claire observes these developments with gratitude. She recognizes that healing isn't linear, it's layered. Moments of sadness still surface, but they coexist with appreciation. She allows herself to feel fully, trusting that emotion enriches experience rather than weakening it. The narrative emphasizes continuity rather than climax. Growth unfolds gradually, shaped by choices repeated daily. Each character demonstrates resilience through consistency, choosing empathy over convenience and reflection over reaction. These patterns reinforce identity, grounding belief in practice. Challenges persist, as they always do. Miscommunications arise, expectations clash, and fatigue tests patience. Yet the family navigates these moments with intention. They've learned that resolution doesn't require perfection, just willingness to engage honestly. The memory of that transformative night remains influential but unobtrusive. It serves as reference rather than refuge, reminding everyone of what's possible without anchoring them to the past. This balance allows progress without disconnection. As time moves forward, the story continues to highlight internal evolution. Wonder matures into wisdom, belief transforms into values, and magic becomes synonymous with intention. These shifts underscore the narrative's core message. Growth doesn't erase wonder, it deepens it. The Pierce family stands poised between reflection and anticipation. They understand that the future holds uncertainty, but they face it with confidence rooted in experience. Their journey illustrates that belief isn't static, it adapts, strengthens, and endures. In this unfolding chapter, magic remains present not as spectacle, but as perspective. It shapes how challenges are met and how connections are nurtured. The story moves forward without haste, honoring the quiet power of consistent growth. As the days shorten and evenings grow quieter, a sense of reflection settles gently over the Pierce household. The world outside moves quickly, people rushing, schedules tightening, but inside their home, time feels intentionally slower. This contrast becomes a conscious choice, rather than coincidence. Each family member begins to understand that pace shapes perspective, and perspective defines experience. Teddy's evolving sense of responsibility becomes more visible. He takes initiative in small but meaningful ways, managing tasks without prompting and offering support before being asked. These gestures aren't driven by obligation. They stem from awareness. He recognizes that contribution strengthens connection, and that leadership often reveals itself through attentiveness rather than authority. At school, Teddy navigates social complexity with newfound confidence. He challenges assumptions respectfully, advocating for inclusivity and fairness when conversations veer toward judgment. This approach earns both admiration and resistance, but he remains grounded. He understands that integrity doesn't require universal approval, it requires consistency. Each interaction reinforces his belief that authenticity fosters trust, even amid disagreement. Kate's creative exploration deepens through collaboration. She joins a group of peers who share her passion for storytelling, blending photography, writing, and performance. These collaborative efforts broaden her understanding of expression, teaching her that creativity thrives through exchange. She learns to listen as carefully as she shares, valuing diverse perspectives without losing her own voice. Her curiosity leads her to document stories from people around her neighbors, teachers, and classmates. These narratives reveal resilience woven into ordinary lives. She captures moments of vulnerability and strength, discovering that stories don't need grandeur to resonate. This realization reshapes her understanding of impact, emphasizing connection over recognition. Claire observes her children's growth with pride, tempered by humility. She understands that guidance doesn't equate to control. Rather than directing outcomes, she offers presence, listening without interruption and supporting without assumption. This approach strengthens mutual respect, fostering trust that empowers independence rather than restricting it. Her work continues to challenge her emotionally, but she approaches each day with intention. She prioritizes balance, acknowledging limits without guilt. Through reflection, she learns that self-care isn't indulgence, it's sustainability. This awareness allows her to engage fully at home and work, enriching both spheres without depletion. The family's conversations grow increasingly layered. Discussions range from practical decisions to philosophical reflections, often sparked by simple observations. These exchanges cultivate critical thinking and empathy, reinforcing shared values without enforcing uniformity. Each voice carries weight, and disagreement becomes an opportunity for understanding rather than division. Outside their immediate circle, the community reflects gradual transformation. People seem more willing to engage thoughtfully, bridging differences through dialogue. Initiatives focused on collaboration gain momentum, encouraging participation across backgrounds. These efforts underscore the idea that collective growth begins with individual choice, multiplied through shared action. Officer Poveda's outreach programs expand, emphasizing prevention and education. He mentors young people navigating uncertainty, offering guidance without judgment. His approach demonstrates that authority, grounded in empathy, fosters respect more effectively than enforcement alone. This philosophy reshapes community dynamics, strengthening trust through consistency. His relationship with Lisa continues to evolve through honest communication. They navigate challenges openly, addressing concerns before they escalate. This transparency fosters resilience, reinforcing the understanding that partnership thrives on mutual effort rather than assumption. Their growth mirrors the broader theme of intentional connection. At the North Pole, preparations continue with deliberate focus. The elves refine processes, emphasizing craftsmanship and sustainability. Innovation complements tradition, ensuring relevance without sacrificing essence. Santa reflects on these changes with quiet satisfaction, recognizing that adaptation preserves magic by aligning with purpose. He contemplates the nature of belief, acknowledging its fluidity. Belief, he realizes, isn't diminished by understanding, it's enriched. This perspective reframes his role as facilitator rather than figurehead, guiding belief through example rather than spectacle. This evolution ensures continuity without stagnation. As festive preparations unfold globally, anticipation remains grounded. Celebrations emphasize meaning over excess, encouraging reflection alongside joy. Traditions adapt organically, honoring memory while embracing change. This balance reinforces connection without demanding perfection, allowing authenticity to flourish. Teddy embraces mentorship roles, supporting younger peers with patience. He recognizes potential without projecting expectation, fostering confidence through encouragement. These interactions reinforce his understanding that leadership is relational rather than hierarchical. Each exchange strengthens his commitment to empathy-driven influence. Kate continues documenting narratives, compiling her work into a cohesive project. She reflects on how stories intersect, revealing shared themes despite diverse experiences. This synthesis deepens her appreciation for complexity, teaching her that understanding emerges through context rather than conclusion. Claire integrates reflection into routine, setting aside moments for gratitude. She acknowledges progress without dismissing struggle, recognizing that both coexist. This balance cultivates resilience, allowing her to navigate uncertainty with confidence rather than fear. Her presence anchors the household, reinforcing stability through consistency. The family's rituals evolve naturally. Shared meals become spaces for storytelling, laughter, and quiet contemplation. Even silence holds value, reinforcing connection without demand. These moments affirm that togetherness doesn't require constant engagement, thrives through mutual presence. Beyond their home, societal rhythms reflect subtle change. Conversations prioritize understanding over persuasion, encouraging collaboration rather than competition. While challenges persist, collective awareness fosters resilience. Small acts of kindness accumulate, shaping atmosphere through intention rather than enforcement. As the season approaches its peak, the narrative emphasizes continuity over climax. Growth unfolds incrementally, shaped by repeated choices, rather than singular events. Each character embodies resilience through consistency, choosing empathy over convenience and reflection over reaction. Challenges arise, testing patience and resolve. Yet these moments become opportunities for alignment rather than division. The family navigates conflict through dialogue, reinforcing trust through transparency. Resolution emerges not from avoidance, but from engagement. The memory of transformative experiences remains influential yet unobtrusive. It informs perspective without constraining progress, serving as reference rather than refuge. This balance allows evolution without disconnection, honoring the past while embracing the present. As time moves forward, the story continues, emphasizing internal evolution. Wonder matures into wisdom, belief transforms into values, and magic becomes synonymous with intention. These shifts underscore the narrative's core message. Growth deepens wonder rather than erasing it. The Pierce family stands poised between reflection and anticipation, facing uncertainty with confidence rooted in experience. Their journey illustrates that belief adapts, strengthens, and endures through conscious choice. In this unfolding chapter, magic persists not as spectacle, but as perspective. It shapes how challenges are met and connections nurtured. The story advances with deliberate calm, honoring the quiet power of intentional living. As winter settles more deeply into the city, the world seems wrapped in a quieter kind of energy. The festive lights remain, but their glow now feels softer, less hurried. For the Pierce family, this shift brings a sense of grounding. The excitement of past events has transformed into reflection, and reflection into intention. Life resumes its rhythm, yet something fundamental has changed in how each moment is approached. Teddy finds himself thinking more deliberately about the future. He begins exploring possibilities that once felt distant or abstract, considering paths that align with his values rather than external expectations. Conversations with teachers and mentors help clarify his interests, not as rigid plans but as evolving directions. He learns that uncertainty isn't a flaw, it's space for growth. This realization allows him to move forward without fear of making the wrong choice. His friendships deepen as he becomes more present. He listens with attention, offering support without trying to fix everything. People begin seeking his perspective, not because he has all the answers, but because he asks thoughtful questions. Teddy understands that trust grows when people feel heard, and this awareness strengthens his relationships. Each connection reinforces the idea that community is built through empathy, not performance. Kate continues shaping her creative voice, refining her storytelling with care. She experiments with structure, exploring how pacing and perspective influence emotion. Her work becomes more nuanced, capturing moments between action, the pauses where meaning often resides. She learns that restraint can be as powerful as expression, allowing stories to breathe rather than overwhelm. Inspired by feedback from peers and mentors, Kate organizes a small showcase at school. Students share projects reflecting personal journeys, and the atmosphere feels collaborative rather than competitive. The event highlights the diversity of experience within shared space, emphasizing connection through authenticity. Kate watches from the side, quietly proud of what collective effort can create. Claire notices these developments with thoughtful admiration. She sees her children navigating complexity with confidence, guided by internal compass rather than external pressure. This observation reassures her that her role isn't to shield them from difficulty, but to support their engagement with it. She reflects on her own growth, recognizing how adaptation has strengthened her resilience. Her work at the hospital continues, demanding emotional presence. Yet she approaches each day with renewed purpose, finding meaning in service rather than routine. Moments of gratitude from patients remind her that compassion doesn't require grand gestures. It thrives through consistency. This perspective helps her balance empathy with boundaries, sustaining her energy without diminishing care. Evenings at home become spaces for reflection. Conversations unfold naturally, sometimes centered on practical matters, other times drifting into philosophical territory. These exchanges reinforce shared values while honoring individual viewpoints. Silence is welcomed rather than avoided, providing space for contemplation without discomfort. The community around them mirrors this quiet evolution. Initiatives focused on collaboration gain momentum, fostering dialogue across differences. Local events emphasize shared responsibility, encouraging participation without obligation. People seem more willing to listen, bridging gaps through curiosity rather than assumption. Officer Pavader's mentorship programs expand, reaching youth navigating uncertainty. He emphasizes accountability paired with understanding, encouraging growth through trust rather than fear. His approach resonates, reshaping perceptions of authority through empathy. These efforts strengthen community bonds, demonstrating that safety and compassion coexist. His relationship with Lisa continues maturing through intentional communication. They address challenges openly, viewing conflict as opportunity rather than threat. This approach fosters resilience, reinforcing the belief that partnership thrives through effort and honesty. Their growth reflects broader themes of connection nurtured through choice. At the North Pole, preparations transition from urgency to reflection. The elves assessed innovations implemented earlier, refining processes with sustainability in mind. Tradition remains central, yet adaptation ensures relevance. Santa observes these changes thoughtfully, recognizing that stewardship involves evolution guided by purpose. He reflects on belief as a dynamic force. Belief, he realizes, deepens through understanding, rather than diminishing with familiarity. This perspective reshapes his role, emphasizing guidance over spectacle. By nurturing belief through example, he ensures continuity rooted in authenticity. As the season progresses, celebrations emphasize meaning over excess. Traditions adapt organically, honoring memory while embracing change. This balance allows joy to coexist with reflection, reinforcing connection without demanding perfection. People engage with intention, finding fulfillment in shared presence rather than accumulation. Teddy begins mentoring younger students, offering guidance grounded in experience rather than authority. He encourages curiosity, reminding them that growth unfolds through exploration. These interactions strengthen his understanding of leadership as service rather than status. Each exchange reinforces empathy-driven influence. Kate compiles her storytelling project into a cohesive narrative, reflecting on the intersections of diverse experiences. She recognizes recurring themes of resilience and connection, understanding that stories resonate through shared humanity. This realization deepens her commitment to authenticity, valuing substance over spectacle. Claire integrates gratitude into routine, acknowledging progress alongside challenge. She recognizes that resilience isn't absence of struggle, it's capacity to navigate it thoughtfully. This awareness empowers her to engage fully with life's complexity, fostering balance without complacency. Family rituals evolve naturally. Shared meals become spaces for storytelling and quiet reflection. These moments affirm that togetherness thrives through presence rather than performance. Even mundane routines carry significance when approached with intention. Beyond their home, societal rhythms shift subtly. Conversations prioritize understanding over persuasion, collaboration over competition. Challenges persist, yet collective awareness fosters resilience. Small acts of kindness accumulate, shaping atmosphere through choice rather than mandate. As winter wanes, anticipation builds gently. The narrative emphasizes continuity rather than climax, growth through repetition rather than singular events. Each character embodies resilience through consistency, choosing empathy over convenience and reflection over reaction. Conflict arises occasionally, testing patience and resolve. Yet these moments become opportunities for alignment rather than division. Dialogue replaces avoidance, reinforcing trust through transparency. Resolution emerges through engagement rather than escape. The memory of transformative experiences remains influential yet unobtrusive. It informs perspective without constraining progress, serving as reference rather than refuge. This balance allows evolution without disconnection, honoring the past while embracing the present. As time advances, the story continues, focusing on internal evolution. Wonder matures into wisdom, belief transforms into values, and magic becomes synonymous with intention. These shifts underscore the narrative's core message. Meaning deepens through conscious choice. The Pierce family moves forward with confidence, rooted in experience. Their journey illustrates that belief adapts, strengthens, and endures through deliberate living. In this unfolding chapter, magic persists not as spectacle, but as perspective shaping every interaction. As the calendar turns, and winter slowly begins to loosen its grip, a different kind of momentum takes hold. The season of reflection gives way to quiet preparation, not for another spectacle, but for the everyday challenges that shape character over time. The Pierce household feels this shift first in subtle ways, through routines that settle into place, and conversations that stretch beyond immediate concerns. Teddy embraces responsibility with a new sense of calm. The weight he once associated with expectations no longer feels oppressive. Instead, it is transformed into motivation. He volunteers more frequently, not to impress anyone, but because contributing brings clarity. Each task becomes an opportunity to apply lessons learned about patience, accountability, and the value of showing up even when recognition is unlikely. He begins journaling regularly, using writing as a tool for processing complex thoughts. The act of articulating emotions helps him navigate uncertainty with greater ease. Through reflection, he identifies patterns in his reactions, learning how to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This awareness strengthens his confidence, allowing him to face challenges without retreating into doubt. Kate's curiosity expands beyond storytelling into observation. She studies how people communicate through body language and tone, capturing moments that reveal unspoken truths. Her notebooks fill with sketches and fragments, expressions caught mid-thought, gestures frozen in transition. She learns that stories exist everywhere, waiting for attention rather than invention. At school, her teachers recognize her growing perceptiveness. They encourage her to explore collaborative projects, where shared vision requires compromise. Initially hesitant, Kate soon discovers that collaboration doesn't dilute creativity, it deepens it. Working alongside others introduces perspectives she hadn't considered, enriching her work through collective insight. Claire adjusts her schedule to create space for personal growth alongside professional commitment. She enrolls in a workshop focused on resilience and emotional well-being, seeking tools to sustain empathy without burnout. These sessions reinforce the importance of self-care as a foundation for care. She learns that strength isn't measured by endurance alone, but by the ability to renew energy through balance. Her interactions with colleagues evolve as she shares these insights. Conversations shift from complaint to solution, fostering mutual support. Small changes in approach ripple outward, influencing team dynamics positively. Claire realizes that leadership often emerges through vulnerability, inviting others to engage authentically. Community involvement continues expanding. Local initiatives emphasize shared learning, offering workshops and forums that encourage dialogue across generations. These gatherings foster understanding through storytelling and shared experience, strengthening social fabric. Participation grows organically, fueled by curiosity rather than obligation. Officer Poveda plays an active role in these efforts, facilitating discussions focused on conflict resolution and communication. He emphasizes listening as a skill equal to speaking, encouraging participants to approach disagreement with openness. His methods resonate, promoting trust through consistency rather than authority. His relationship with Lisa deepens as they navigate daily life with intentional communication. They celebrate progress without ignoring challenges, understanding that growth unfolds unevenly. Their shared commitment to honesty creates stability, reinforcing partnership through effort rather than assumption. At the North Pole, preparations continue quietly. Innovation integrates seamlessly with tradition, ensuring sustainability without sacrificing wonder. The elves document processes carefully, valuing continuity through shared knowledge. Santa observes these efforts with pride, recognizing stewardship as collective responsibility. He reflects on belief as an evolving concept. Belief, he understands, matures through understanding rather than blind acceptance. This realization influences how he approaches guidance, prioritizing example over explanation. By embodying values consistently, he nurtures belief through trust rather than spectacle. Seasonal transitions highlight this philosophy. Celebrations adapt naturally, emphasizing connection over consumption. Traditions become flexible frameworks rather than rigid rituals, allowing personal expression within shared experience. This adaptability ensures relevance across generations. Teddy mentors younger students informally, offering guidance rooted in empathy. He encourages exploration without fear of failure, emphasizing resilience through learning. These interactions reinforce his understanding of leadership as service, shaping influence through care rather than control. Kate organizes a small exhibition, showcasing collaborative projects. The event focuses on process rather than outcome, inviting viewers to engage with creation as dialogue. Participants share insights openly, fostering appreciation for diverse approaches. Kate watches quietly, recognizing the power of shared vulnerability. Claire supports these initiatives wholeheartedly, balancing encouragement with autonomy. She trusts her children's judgment, understanding that independence flourishes through confidence rather than oversight. This trust strengthens family bonds, affirming mutual respect. Evenings at home become reflective spaces. Discussions range from philosophical questions to practical planning, weaving meaning into routine. Silence is welcomed, offering room for contemplation without discomfort. These moments reinforce connection through presence rather than activity. Beyond the household, societal rhythms shift gradually. Conversations emphasize collaboration, acknowledging complexity without simplification. Challenges persist, yet collective willingness to engage fosters resilience. Small acts of kindness accumulate, shaping atmosphere through choice rather than mandate. As spring approaches, anticipation grows gently. The narrative focuses on continuity rather than climax, illustrating growth through repetition. Each character embodies resilience through consistency, choosing empathy over convenience and reflection over reaction. Conflict arises occasionally, testing patience and resolve. Yet these moments become opportunities for alignment rather than division. Dialogue replaces avoidance, reinforcing trust through transparency. Resolution emerges through engagement rather than escape. Memories of transformative experiences remain influential, yet unobtrusive. They inform perspective without constraining progress, serving as reference rather than refuge. This balance allows evolution without disconnection, honoring the past while embracing the present. As time advances, the story emphasizes internal evolution. Wonder matures into wisdom, belief transforms into values, and magic becomes synonymous with intention. These shifts underscore the narrative's core message. Meaning deepens through conscious choice. The Pierce family continues forward with confidence rooted in experience. Their journey illustrates that belief adapts, strengthens, and endures through deliberate living. In this unfolding chapter, magic persists not as spectacle, but as perspective shaping every interaction. Morning arrives quietly, carrying with it a sense of steady purpose rather than urgency. The days no longer feel divided into before and after. Instead, they unfold as a continuous thread of growth. Within the Pierce household, this rhythm is evident in how responsibilities are shared and respected, creating a balance that feels earned rather than enforced. Teddy wakes earlier than usual, using the stillness to organize his thoughts. He prepares breakfast without prompting, understanding that contribution is most meaningful when it comes unannounced. As he works, he reflects on how far his mindset has shifted from resistance to acceptance, from avoidance to engagement. Each small act reinforces his belief that maturity is built through consistency, not dramatic gestures. At school, Teddy is invited to participate in a leadership forum designed to encourage civic responsibility among students. The discussions focus on ethical decision-making, emphasizing empathy alongside logic. Teddy finds himself speaking more openly than expected, sharing experiences without embellishment. His honesty resonates, prompting others to reflect on their own journeys. Through dialogue, he discovers that vulnerability strengthens connection, rather than diminishing authority. Kate continues exploring creative expression with renewed depth. Her notebooks now combine visuals with reflective commentary, blending observation with interpretation. She experiments with storytelling formats, integrating audio snippets and sketches to capture moments holistically. This multi-dimensional approach allows her to communicate complexity through nuance, revealing layers often overlooked. Her teachers encourage her to submit her work to a local youth arts showcase. Initially hesitant, Kate embraces the challenge, viewing it as an opportunity to share perspective rather than seek validation. She collaborates with peers to curate the presentation, prioritizing coherence and accessibility. The process teaches her that art thrives when intention aligns with audience engagement. Claire navigates professional responsibilities with clarity informed by reflection. She introduces structured debrief sessions at work, creating space for emotional processing alongside procedural review. These sessions foster transparency, reducing burnout by acknowledging emotional labor as integral rather than peripheral. Colleagues respond positively, appreciating leadership grounded in understanding rather than hierarchy. Outside work, Claire invests time in community education initiatives focused on mental health awareness. She facilitates workshops that demystify emotional resilience, emphasizing practical strategies over abstract concepts. Participants share experiences candidly, building trust through mutual recognition. Claire recognizes that education empowers individuals to advocate for themselves and others, amplifying collective well-being. Officer Poveda continues fostering community engagement through restorative practices. He organizes neighborhood dialogues centered on shared values, encouraging participants to articulate concerns constructively. These gatherings prioritize listening over persuasion, transforming disagreement into opportunity for understanding. Through consistency, Poveda strengthens trust, demonstrating that accountability flourishes through collaboration. His partnership with Lisa evolves naturally. They establish rituals that honor growth without clinging to expectation. Weekly walks, shared reflections, moments of silence. These practices reinforce presence as a foundation for connection, allowing affection to mature through attentiveness rather than assumption. At the North Pole, preparations shift toward mentorship and succession planning. Senior elves guide newcomers through traditions, emphasizing adaptability as essential to sustainability. Documentation becomes storytelling, preserving wisdom through narrative rather than instruction alone. Santa observes these developments with satisfaction, recognizing leadership as cultivation rather than control. He reflects on belief as an active choice, shaped by experience. Rather than safeguarding tradition through rigidity, he encourages exploration within established values. This approach nurtures creativity while preserving continuity, ensuring relevance through evolution. Santa understands that magic endures when it adapts to understanding rather than resisting change. Seasonal transitions underscore this philosophy. Celebrations emphasize gratitude and connection, integrating innovation thoughtfully. Rituals evolve organically, reflecting collective identity rather than static expectation. Through flexibility, traditions remain meaningful across contexts. Teddy mentors younger students informally, offering guidance rooted in shared experience. He listens attentively, validating concerns without prescribing solutions. This approach empowers others to navigate challenges autonomously, reinforcing confidence through respect. Teddy learns that leadership thrives through trust, cultivated by empathy rather than instruction. Kate's arts showcase approaches, bringing anticipation mixed with reflection. She revisits earlier work, recognizing growth through contrast. Rather than judging past efforts, she appreciates them as steps toward clarity. This perspective fosters gratitude for process, emphasizing evolution over perfection. Claire supports these endeavors by providing space for autonomy. She trusts her children's judgment, understanding that independence flourishes through encouragement rather than oversight. This trust reinforces mutual respect, strengthening family bonds through shared confidence. Evenings become reflective spaces filled with conversation and contemplation. Discussions explore ethical dilemmas, creative aspirations, and personal boundaries. Silence is embraced as a companion to dialogue, allowing insight to emerge organically. These moments deepen connection through presence rather than performance. Community initiatives continue expanding. Collaborative projects address local challenges through inclusive planning. Participants bring diverse perspectives, fostering solutions grounded in empathy and practicality. The collective commitment illustrates resilience through cooperation, demonstrating progress through shared effort. Challenges arise periodically, testing patience and resolve. Yet these moments prompt dialogue rather than division. Conflict becomes catalyst for alignment, encouraging clarity through engagement. Resolution emerges through transparency, reinforcing trust through accountability. Memories of transformative experiences inform perspective without constraining progress. They serve as reference points rather than anchors, guiding reflection while allowing movement. This balance enables growth without disconnection, honoring history while embracing change. As time advances, internal evolution becomes central. Wonder matures into discernment, belief transforms into values, and magic becomes synonymous with intention. These shifts underscore the narrative's core message. Meaning deepens through conscious choice and consistent action. The Pierce family continues forward with confidence rooted in experience. Their journey illustrates that belief adapts, strengthens, and endures through deliberate living. In this unfolding chapter, magic persists not as spectacle, but as perspective shaping every interaction. The rhythm of life continues with subtle shifts that signal deeper transformation rather than surface change. Days feel fuller, not because more is happening, but because each moment carries intention. Within the Pierce household and beyond, growth has become an ongoing practice, woven into everyday choices rather than highlighted by dramatic events. Teddy begins to sense a change in how others perceive him. Teachers rely on his input during group projects. Classmates seek his perspective during disagreements, and younger students mirror his calm approach to challenges. This attention does not inflate his ego. Instead, it sharpens his awareness of responsibility. He understands that influence carries weight, and how he responds can either encourage confidence or create doubt. With this understanding, he chooses patience over impulse, listening more than speaking when situations call for reflection. An opportunity arises for Teddy to represent his school at a regional youth council meeting. The agenda focuses on community improvement and student-led initiatives. During discussions, Teddy highlights the importance of emotional literacy alongside academic achievement. He speaks about how understanding one's own reactions can prevent conflict and foster cooperation. His contribution is met with thoughtful silence, followed by agreement. The realization that his experiences can translate into meaningful dialogue strengthens his sense of purpose. Kate's creative journey takes an unexpected turn when she begins incorporating personal narratives into her visual work. She explores memory through texture and color, capturing feelings that words alone cannot express. This process brings moments of vulnerability, forcing her to confront emotions she once avoided. Yet, each completed piece feels like a release, transforming uncertainty into clarity. At the Youth Arts Showcase, Kate's presentation draws attention not for its polish alone, but for its honesty. Viewers linger, drawn by the layered storytelling that invites interpretation rather than dictation. Conversations spark around her work, with people sharing how certain images resonate with their own experiences. Kate realizes that art's power lies in connection, bridging differences through shared emotion. Claire observes these developments with quiet pride. She notices how her children navigate challenges independently while still valuing guidance. This balance reassures her that trust has become a foundation rather than a risk. At work, Claire continues refining her leadership style, emphasizing collaborative problem-solving. She mentors younger colleagues, encouraging them to define success on their own terms, rather than conforming to rigid expectations. One evening, Claire participates in a panel discussion about work-life integration. She speaks candidly about the myth of perfect balance, reframing it as continuous adjustment. Her honesty resonates with the audience, sparking dialogue about sustainable ambition. Claire understands that leadership extends beyond professional spaces, influencing cultural norms through example. Officer Pavada's community initiatives gain momentum as more residents participate in restorative circles. These gatherings address long-standing tensions, offering space for dialogue without judgment. Through guided conversation, individuals articulate concerns and listen to perspectives previously dismissed. The process is not always comfortable, but it fosters understanding that transforms relationships over time. Pavada reflects on how consistency builds trust more effectively than authority. By showing up repeatedly and engaging authentically, he creates an environment where accountability feels shared rather than imposed. His partnership with Lisa deepens through mutual respect for growth. They support each other's commitments, understanding that personal evolution strengthens connection. At the North Pole, innovation and tradition continue intertwining seamlessly. Workshops encourage creative problem-solving, allowing elves to propose new methods while honoring established values. Knowledge sharing becomes intergenerational, with elders and newcomers collaborating rather than competing. Santa emphasizes mentorship as a legacy, ensuring continuity through empowerment rather than preservation alone. Santa's reflections center on belief as a living concept. He recognizes that belief flourishes when it adapts to understanding rather than clinging to nostalgia. By inviting curiosity, he sustains wonder across generations. His leadership evolves into stewardship, guiding growth without constraining exploration. Seasonal celebrations highlight this philosophy. Rituals incorporate contemporary elements that reflect changing perspectives while maintaining symbolic roots. These adaptations keep traditions relevant, reinforcing identity through evolution rather than repetition. The result is a culture that honors history while embracing possibility. Teddy mentors peers informally, facilitating discussions about personal goals and challenges. He encourages reflection rather than offering solutions, empowering others to trust their judgment. This approach reinforces his belief that guidance is most effective when it nurtures autonomy. Kate begins collaborating with other young artists, exploring collective storytelling. Through shared projects, she learns to balance individual expression with group vision. This collaboration enhances her appreciation for diversity, illustrating how varied perspectives enrich creative outcomes. Family conversations deepen as shared experiences accumulate. Discussions explore ethics, creativity, and resilience, fostering mutual understanding. Silence becomes a space for reflection rather than discomfort, allowing insights to surface naturally. These moments strengthen bonds through presence rather than expectation. Community projects expand, addressing social issues through inclusive planning. Participants bring diverse skills and experiences, creating solutions grounded in empathy and practicality. The collective effort demonstrates resilience through cooperation, illustrating progress achieved through shared commitment. Challenges emerge periodically, testing patience and resolve. Yet each obstacle prompts dialogue rather than withdrawal. Conflict becomes an opportunity for alignment, reinforcing trust through transparency and accountability. Memories of past transformations inform perspective without limiting growth. They serve as reference points rather than anchors, guiding reflection while allowing movement. This balance honors history while embracing change. As time moves forward, internal evolution remains central. Wonder matures into discernment, belief transforms into values, and magic becomes synonymous with intention. These shifts underscore a core truth. Meaning deepens through conscious choice and consistent action. The Pierce family continues navigating life with confidence, shaped by experience. Their journey illustrates that growth is ongoing, sustained through reflection, empathy, and deliberate living. In this unfolding chapter, magic persists not as spectacle, but as perspective influencing every interaction. Time continues to unfold with a quiet confidence, carrying forward the lessons already learned while making space for new realizations. There is no sudden shift or dramatic turning point. Instead, growth reveals itself through consistency. Each character moves with greater awareness, understanding that progress is rarely loud but always meaningful. Teddy finds himself reflecting more often, especially during moments of stillness. He notices how his thoughts have matured, how reactions that once felt automatic are now filtered through consideration. This internal pause becomes a strength. At school, he faces a situation where a close friend is accused of something unfairly. Instead of reacting defensively, Teddy listens to all sides, gathering details patiently. His approach calms the tension, and when the truth eventually comes out, it reinforces the value of restraint and clarity. Others begin to recognize him not just as someone dependable, but as someone wise beyond his years. Kate's path continues to evolve creatively and emotionally. She starts documenting her ideas in a personal journal, not for presentation, but for understanding herself better. Writing becomes another medium through which she processes experiences. In these pages, she explores themes of belief, loss, joy, and hope, often blending imagination with reality. This practice deepens her artistic voice, giving her confidence to experiment without fear of judgment. During a local workshop, she shares a piece inspired by these reflections. The response is intimate rather than loud, with listeners expressing how her words mirror feelings they never knew how to articulate. Kate realizes that vulnerability, when shared honestly, has the power to heal both the speaker and the listener. Claire's journey continues with steady resolve. At work, she is offered a position that comes with more responsibility but less predictability. Instead of immediately accepting or declining, she evaluates how it aligns with her values. She discusses the opportunity openly with her children, modeling transparency and mutual respect. Their conversation reinforces that success is not defined by title alone, but by balance, fulfillment, and integrity. Claire ultimately accepts the role, confident that adaptability is a skill she has already mastered. Her leadership style becomes more empathetic, emphasizing collaboration and emotional awareness. Colleagues feel heard and supported, fostering an environment where people are motivated by trust rather than pressure. Officer Poveda continues his commitment to community engagement, expanding initiatives that focus on prevention rather than reaction. He organizes forums where residents can voice concerns before they escalate into conflict. These gatherings reveal underlying issues that had long gone unnoticed. Through consistent dialogue, solutions emerge organically, shaped by collective insight. Paveda learns that authority is most effective when paired with humility. His relationship with Lisa deepens through shared purpose, as they support each other's efforts to create meaningful change. Their connection is strengthened, not by perfection, but by understanding and patience. At the North Pole, innovation takes on new dimensions as younger elves introduce ideas inspired by the human world. Instead of resisting change, the community embraces experimentation. Santa encourages this spirit, reminding everyone that tradition thrives when it remains responsive. He reflects on how belief has shifted over time, evolving from simple wonder into a deeper appreciation for connection and kindness. His role becomes less about delivering magic and more about nurturing it in others. Observing the ripple effects of these changes, Santa feels a renewed sense of purpose rooted in guidance, rather than control. The Pierce family experiences moments of quiet joy that reinforce their bond. Shared meals become opportunities for reflection, laughter, and mutual support. They discuss challenges openly, celebrating small victories as much as significant milestones. These rituals anchor them, providing stability amid change. Teddy and Kate grow closer, recognizing each other not just as siblings, but as individuals with unique strengths. They learn to respect differences while offering unconditional support. Community projects continue to flourish, drawing diverse participants together around shared goals, whether addressing environmental concerns or supporting local initiatives. Collaboration becomes the cornerstone of progress. These efforts demonstrate that collective action, grounded in empathy, yields lasting impact. Participants learn from one another, exchanging perspectives that broaden understanding. Through these interactions, the community strengthens its resilience, united by shared responsibility. Challenges still arise, reminding everyone that growth is not linear. Misunderstandings occur, plans falter, and expectations are tested. Yet each setback is met with reflection rather than frustration. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities for learning. The ability to adapt becomes a shared skill, cultivated through experience and trust. Memories of earlier struggles no longer carry weight. Instead, they serve as reminders of resilience. Looking ahead, each character feels prepared for whatever comes next. Their journeys illustrate that meaning is built through intention, relationships, and self-awareness. Magic, once perceived as something external, is now understood as an internal force, shaping choices and perspectives. It lives in compassion, creativity, and courage. As life continues its steady rhythm, these lessons guide each step forward, reinforcing the belief that true wonder lies in growth shared with others. Momentum continues to build quietly, shaped by choices that feel deliberate rather than reactive. The world around the characters does not suddenly transform, but their relationship with it deepens. Each day brings small tests of patience, belief, and responsibility, revealing how far they have come. What once felt overwhelming now appears manageable. Not because challenges have disappeared, but because perspective has shifted. Teddy begins to sense a pull toward defining his future more clearly. College applications, career paths, and expectations hover around him, spoken about by teachers and classmates with urgency. Instead of feeling pressured, he approaches these conversations with curiosity. He starts volunteering at a local youth center, helping younger kids with homework and basic life skills. Through these interactions, he recognizes how much he enjoys guiding others. Explaining concepts forces him to slow down, articulate thoughts carefully, and listen more attentively. The experience plants a quiet seed perhaps. Leadership does not always mean standing in front, but sometimes walking alongside. His confidence grows, not from praise, but from the realization that his presence can genuinely help someone else feel capable. Kate's creative journey takes a more focused turn. She is invited to collaborate on a small community art project, designed to reflect shared memories and hopes. Initially, she doubts whether her ideas are strong enough to contribute. However, as discussions unfold, she notices how naturally her imagination bridges gaps between differing viewpoints. She sketches concepts that weave personal stories into collective imagery, helping others see connections they had not considered. The project becomes a living conversation rather than a finished product. Kate learns that creativity thrives when it listens as much as it speaks. This understanding reshapes her confidence, grounding it in collaboration instead of comparison. Claire finds herself balancing ambition with care in new ways. Her expanded role at work introduces situations where decisions must be made quickly, often affecting many people at once. During a particularly difficult case, she is forced to choose between efficiency and empathy. Remembering her own experiences of loss and uncertainty, she advocates for a solution that prioritizes dignity, even if it requires more time and resources. The outcome reinforces her belief that leadership rooted in compassion leaves a lasting impact. Colleagues begin seeking her advice, not just for professional insight, but for perspective. Claire realizes that her strength lies not in having all the answers, but in asking the right questions. Officer Paveda encounters a moment that challenges his optimism. A community initiative he helped establish faces resistance due to misunderstanding and fear. Instead of defending the project aggressively, he invites critics into dialogue. These conversations are uncomfortable, filled with tension and skepticism. Yet through patience, he uncovers underlying concerns that had gone unspoken. Addressing these fears directly transforms opposition into cautious support. Paveda understands that trust is built slowly, through consistency rather than persuasion. His approach reinforces the idea that meaningful change often begins with listening. At the North Pole, preparations for the coming season unfold differently than before. Efficiency is no longer the sole focus. Well-being becomes equally important. Workshops are introduced to encourage creativity and rest among the elves. Santa observes these changes with quiet pride, recognizing reflections of lessons learned from the human world. He spends time mentoring younger elves, sharing stories not as instructions, but as reflections. Through these exchanges, Santa feels less like a figure of authority, and more like a steward of shared values. The magic he safeguards now feels communal, sustained by mutual respect, rather than obligation. The Pierce household continues to evolve as routines settle into something comfortable, yet flexible. Family dinners remain a cornerstone, offering space for conversation without expectation. These moments reveal subtle shifts, Eddie's thoughtful questions, Kate's expressive anecdotes, Claire's reflective insights. Laughter flows more freely, not as an escape, but as a celebration of resilience. They acknowledge challenges openly, honoring emotions without letting them define the narrative. This balance strengthens their bond, reminding them that togetherness is built through honesty. Community connections deepen through shared experiences. Seasonal events bring people together in ways that feel authentic rather than performative. Small acts helping a neighbor, organizing local drives, supporting shared causes accumulate into something meaningful. Participants notice how collaboration fosters understanding, replacing assumptions with empathy. Differences are no longer obstacles, but opportunities for learning. These interactions reinforce the idea that belonging is cultivated through contribution. Moments of doubt still surface, particularly during quiet nights, when uncertainties feel louder. Yet these doubts no longer dominate. Instead, they are acknowledged and examined, losing their power through understanding. Characters learn to sit with discomfort, recognizing it as a signal for growth, rather than a threat. This mindset transforms vulnerability into strength. As paths begin to stretch toward the future, clarity emerges not through certainty, but through alignment. Each individual recognizes what matters most to them, using this awareness as a compass. Success becomes less about external validation and more about internal coherence. The lessons learned at empathy, patience, creativity, and resilience serve as tools rather than trophies. Life continues its rhythm, marked by progress that feels earned rather than given. Magic, once perceived as extraordinary, is now recognized in everyday choices. It appears in kindness offered without expectation, courage shown quietly, and imagination nurtured patiently. These moments, woven together, create a tapestry of meaning that extends beyond any single event. The journey does not signal an ending, but a continuation enriched by understanding. Each step forward carries intention, shaped by experience and hope. As the horizon expands, so does confidence, not in certainty, but in the ability to adapt. This shared trust in growth becomes the most enduring gift, guiding everyone toward whatever comes next. A quieter phase settles in, not marked by dramatic events, but by steady refinement of everything that has already been built. The days feel fuller, not because more is happening, but because each moment is being lived with greater awareness. The characters are no longer reacting to change. They are shaping it, intentionally and thoughtfully. Teddy reaches a turning point when he is offered an internship opportunity through a mentor he met at the youth center. The position is not glamorous and does not promise immediate recognition, but it aligns closely with his growing interest in mentorship and community work. Accepting it means sacrificing some personal freedom and facing responsibilities that feel intimidating. After careful reflection, he chooses to commit. The experience challenges him in unexpected ways, balancing schedules, navigating interpersonal conflicts, and managing doubt. Through trial and error, he learns that leadership is less about authority and more about accountability. Each obstacle strengthens his resilience, teaching him to trust his judgment even when outcomes are uncertain. Kate's artistic pursuits evolve into a deeper exploration of identity. She begins documenting stories from people around her, translating their experiences into visual narratives. This process pushes her to listen more than she speaks, capturing emotions that are complex and sometimes contradictory. The responsibility weighs on her at first. She fears misrepresenting others' truths. With guidance from mentors, she learns to approach her work with humility and openness. The resulting pieces resonate strongly within the community, not because they offer answers, but because they reflect shared questions. Kate realizes that art's power lies in its ability to create space for conversation rather than conclusions. Claire encounters a crossroads when presented with a promotion that would require relocating. The offer is prestigious, promising professional growth and broader influence. However, it would disrupt the stability she has carefully rebuilt for her family. Instead of making a quick decision, she invites Teddy and Kate into the conversation, valuing their perspectives as equals. These discussions are honest and sometimes emotional, revealing fears and hopes that had remained unspoken. Ultimately, Claire decides to decline the offer, choosing rootedness over ambition. The decision feels empowering, affirming that success can be defined on one's own terms. Officer Poveda's commitment to community engagement yields tangible results. Programs once met with skepticism now flourish, supported by volunteers who believe in their impact. Yet success brings new challenges: managing expectations, securing funding, and preventing burnout. Poveda learns to delegate, trusting others to carry shared responsibilities. This shift allows him to maintain balance, rediscovering joy in small victories. His relationship with Lisa deepens through mutual support, grounded in shared values rather than idealized dreams. Together, they embody the idea that progress is sustained through partnership. At the North Pole, the emphasis on well-being continues to reshape traditions. The elves develop new rituals that celebrate collaboration and creativity. Santa observes these changes as signs of lasting transformation. He reflects on the evolving meaning of magic, recognizing it as a living concept shaped by those who nurture it. His role feels lighter, less burdened by expectation, and more enriched by connection. The joy he experiences stems from witnessing others thrive, reinforcing his belief in shared stewardship. The Pierce household adapts seamlessly to these shifts. Mornings are filled with purposeful routines, evenings with reflective conversations. Challenges are addressed openly, without fear of conflict. This environment fosters trust, allowing each member to pursue individual goals while remaining connected. The home becomes a place of renewal, offering both comfort and inspiration. Community bonds strengthen further as collaborative projects take root. People from diverse backgrounds contribute skills and perspectives, discovering common ground through shared effort. These initiatives demonstrate that meaningful change often emerges from collective action rather than singular vision. Participants gain confidence not only in outcomes, but in their ability to work together despite differences. Moments of uncertainty still arise, particularly as the future looms with unanswered questions. However, these uncertainties are met with curiosity instead of anxiety. The characters embrace adaptability, understanding that growth requires flexibility. This mindset transforms potential setbacks into opportunities for learning. As the narrative approaches its conclusion, a sense of fulfillment emerges, not because all goals have been achieved, but because direction feels clear. Each individual understands their values more deeply, using them as guides through complexity. Relationships are strengthened through honesty and mutual respect, forming a foundation capable of withstanding change. The rhythm of life continues, enriched by intentional choices and shared experiences. Magic remains present, subtle, yet profound, woven into everyday actions. It appears in perseverance during difficult moments, creativity nurtured patiently, and compassion extended freely. These elements coalesce into a vision of hope that feels both realistic and enduring. The journey moves forward with confidence grounded in understanding. What lies ahead is unknown, but the characters are prepared not with certainty, but with trust in their capacity to adapt and grow. This readiness becomes a true culmination of their experiences, marking a meaningful step toward whatever future awaits. A gentle sense of closure begins to take shape, not through a single defining moment, but through a collection of small, meaningful realizations. Life does not pause to announce an ending. Instead, it quietly affirms that what was once uncertain has now found direction. The characters step into this phase with calm confidence, aware that their growth did not arrive suddenly, but was earned through patience and reflection. Teddy completes his internship with a renewed understanding of purpose. The experience reshapes his perception of success, teaching him that fulfillment often comes from service rather than recognition. On his final day, he reflects on the relationships he has built and the trust placed in him. The gratitude he feels is matched by a sense of responsibility to continue giving back in ways that align with his values. He does not yet know his exact path forward, but he carries with him the assurance that meaningful work will always involve empathy and commitment. Kate's creative journey reaches a natural milestone when her collected works are showcased in a community exhibit. The response is deeply affirming, not because of praise alone, but because viewers see themselves reflected in her art. Conversations sparked by the exhibit linger long after it closes, inspiring new connections and ideas. Kate recognizes that her voice has grown stronger through listening, and she feels ready to explore broader horizons without losing sight of where her inspiration began. The experience solidifies her belief that creativity thrives when grounded in shared humanity. Claire experiences a moment of quiet pride as she observes her family's resilience. The choices she once questioned now feel validated, not by external approval but by the stability and openness that defined their home. She continues her work with dedication, finding balance between ambition and presence. The satisfaction she feels stems from knowing she has fostered an environment where growth is supported, not rushed. Claire's understanding of leadership evolves, recognizing it as an act of nurturing potential rather than commanding outcomes. Officer Paveda and Lisa take steps toward a future built on mutual respect and shared goals. Their partnership exemplifies how trust develops through consistency and care. Community initiatives flourish under their guidance, sustained by collaboration rather than hierarchy. Paveda learns that lasting impact is measured not by immediate results, but by the resilience of the systems created. His renewed faith in collective effort reinforces his commitment to serve with integrity. At the North Pole, the spirit of renewal continues to influence traditions. The elves embrace practices that celebrate adaptability and innovation, ensuring that magic remains dynamic rather than static. Santa reflects on the evolving nature of his role, understanding that his legacy lies in empowering others to believe in themselves. The joy he witnesses affirms that magic is sustained through connection and generosity. This realization allows him to step back with contentment, trusting that the values he cherishes will endure. The community surrounding the Pierce family thrives as projects initiated earlier mature into lasting institutions. People once hesitant now participate eagerly, discovering strength in unity. These collective efforts highlight the transformative power of shared vision, demonstrating that progress is achievable when individuals align their intentions. The atmosphere is one of gratitude and anticipation, acknowledging past challenges while looking forward with optimism. As seasons change, routines settle into comfortable rhythms. Mornings begin with purpose, evenings with reflection. Conversations remain open and honest, reinforcing bonds forged through experience. The household becomes a place where questions are welcomed and aspirations encouraged. This stability does not stifle ambition. Instead, it provides a foundation from which new journeys can emerge. Uncertainty still exists, but it no longer feels overwhelming. The characters have learned to navigate ambiguity with curiosity and trust. Each understands that growth is an ongoing process, shaped by choices made daily. This acceptance transforms fear into motivation, encouraging exploration without losing grounding. The story concludes not with finality but with readiness. The characters stand prepared for whatever lies ahead, equipped with lessons learned and relationships strengthened. Their experiences illustrate that fulfillment arises from alignment between values and actions. Magic persists in the ordinary found, in kindness extended, creativity nurtured, and resilience embraced. What remains is a sense of continuity. Life moves forward, enriched by understanding and connection. The journey does not end, it evolves. And within that evolution lies the promise of new stories, shaped by the same principles that guided this one: compassion, courage, and hope.